the daily gambling game show that takes betting seriously, but not much else. Get our favorite plays on the totals, sides, props, exotics, and futures to jump on now.
So let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Something custom chemicals about the console failing on. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben.
Hey, welcome. Hope everybody is doing well. Greetings from the Outer Banks in North Carolina as I get a little closer to the end of my vacation. Boo-hoo-hoo. Beltway Ben is back in Central Command in Baltimore, Maryland, and we are here for another edition of One A Bet. We thank you guys for tuning in. As always, Ben and I will have our three favorite plays of the day. First down, second down, third down. Third down's the money down. It's where we hope to make you the most money, although we strive to put money in your pocket with every handicap we make here. Fourth and long, we will look at is where we look at long-term bets or bets with long odds. Today, we will go through the AFC West. We've been going gradually, division by division, through the NFL. And in overtime, the wacky, zany AL East. We're halfway through the season. We've had twists and turns. How are Beltway Ben and I betting the AL East now? We will tell you in the final segment of the show. Ben, before we get to your first bet of the day, how did we do last night? So there you have it. We have had some quirky things happen to us in baseball, but, you know, that's baseball, I guess. Connor Norby being thrown out at home hurt me there. Also, in my Gold Cup plays, unfortunately, Mexico could not win by 2 goals. They had a goal overturned on an offsides that I've never, prior to this tournament, I hadn't seen offsides applied that way. But it's CONCACAF. And when you bet CONCACAF, you might get CONCACAF, and we did there. And the U.S. not generating more corner kicks and more possessions surprised me. And I'll have some other Gold Cup thoughts to come. Beltway Ben, last night, anything that particularly stuck in your craw?
Yeah, the Cardinals scoring nothing against the Pirates, and they had Mitch Keller in the deep end multiple times, right? They led the inning off with a double or the first 2 batters in the first 4 innings or 3 innings and couldn't score a run. The Rays, of course, get it going in the 6th inning, and we have first 5. They did end up winning that game, but that was sweaty too if you would have had -1.5, which was the other play that I was looking at. So that wouldn't have won because the bullpen blew it. And then the division parlay, this morning I checked, and it's at better odds. So we got +105 yesterday if you were able to tail, but now it is -106, I believe. So those are better odds. But again, the MLB was tough last night, but I think we'll be fine today. No MLB for me today, except for our AL East play that we'll talk about.
Excellent. And again, we've got more plays, as always, on our Discord. You can check that out in our Twitter bios and find out more about that, the Super Discord. All right, Beltway Ben, first down. If it's not the MLB, where are you taking us?
Yeah, we're going to go to the WNBA. We're going to go with Paige Beckers over 19.5 points at +100. She's over this in 4 of her last 5. Ogunbowale's out, and I think Carrington is going to be out as well. It's a home game for Dallas where she's played better this season. You look at when they matched up with the Mercury earlier this season, she scored 35 points. It was a career high for her. She showed up well. 25-plus points tonight is +310. It's a number that I'm looking at and would consider you guys do as well. If she goes over this 19.5, she should be able to get to 25 given the injuries they're dealing with. The guard play needs to be good to keep them in this one. And with all the injuries they're dealing with, the spread is still closer than I thought it would be. So it looks like Vegas expects this game to stay relatively close. We should see Paige play 30-plus minutes, and I think she goes over the 19.5. But again, 25-plus is +310, which is great value when we need 5 more points, given the situation that they're dealing with injury. So I like her over 19.5 points at +100.
Excellent. Beltway Ben has been on a heater since our friend Kate Constable came in to educate us some more on WNBA betting a few weeks back. I am going to the CFL here, Beltway Ben, I think. We are on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You see that number there, -1.5, -160. Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. This line changed massively overnight. If you're, again, on the Super Discord, then you got that number a couple days ago. Winnipeg is now favored by 4.5 against the lowly BC Lions. So at that -166 number, Beltway Ben, you can now lay 2.5, which again, the number's 4.5, you're going to have to lay almost 2-1 to get that 1.5. So I guess for an official play standpoint now, I'll go with the 2.5 minus 166. Why am I not playing the 4.5? Well, and why do I think a 1.5 would matter? Again, it's the CFL, different scoring. You could score 1 point a bunch of different ways. So the key numbers are not just the same as the NFL. It's a different scoring process. It's obviously fewer downs. So consider that when you bet. But I do like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to take care of business here. It's at Calgary. I'm sorry, BC is the Montreal game. It's at Calgary. This is a rivalry game. The Blue Bombers are 3-0 against the numbers so far this year. Calgary already has lost a game at home. These are two really good defensive teams, but I think the Blue Bombers are probably one of the two best teams in the CFL, and they're very well balanced. They're number one in scoring defense, and they have the number one scoring offense. Like, I like to look at completion percentage in this league because, again, you get 2 downs, and then third down is fourth down. You're most of the time, and this league is not as aggressive as you would think on third down. So a lot of times you're punting or trying to get a rouge or whatever. So when I look at a team that's got a high completion percentage, that matters, right? You're trying to pick up 10 yards at a time. And how do they defend the pass? Well, Blue Bombers are number one in the CFL in opposer completion percentage, and they're number one in the CFL in their completion percentage. They're the number one pass D in the CFL, and they're one of the elite passing offenses in the CFL. So yeah, I like them. Also, keep an eye on the Montreal Alouettes. If it looks like Davis Alexander is going to be back at quarterback, he's been limited in practice all week. We'll see what he does today. I would jump on the Alouettes if you can still get that around -3. But we're going to go with the Blue Bombers here. That Alouettes game is on Saturday. Maybe I'll have something for you guys on that on the Discord later in the week or here. Second down, Beltway Ben.
Yeah, we're going to go back to the WNBA here. And I'm going to go with Skylar Diggins over 17.5 points at -110. She's over this in 5 straight games and 13 of 17 games this season. They're facing the Dream, who have been good defensively overall, but opposing guards have had their way against them, right? Natasha Cloud, 20 points. Ogunbowale, a few weeks ago, 21 points. Atkins went for 29, and she hasn't been – Ariel Atkins has not been scoring a ton this year with the Sky. Sykes with the Mystics, 21. Ionescu, the first time they played, 34. Guards are having their way. Skylar Diggins also loves these big moments, right? She's a player who plays with an edge, and we see in these types of matchups between two of the best teams in the WNBA, it should be tight. Diggins should be getting to the free throw line a bunch, which is where she earns a lot of her points, actually, if you look at it. So I like her over 17.5 points at -110.
Excellent. Second down, we are wrapping up the Gold Cup here. Again, semifinals were not kind to us, but I like Mexico to win this match in regulation time +160. I frankly think they win this match 3-1 or 2-0, something in that scoreline. Mexico has had a superpower throughout this tournament, and it is their defense. The back line is connected. It's pretty airtight. Mexico has been producing world-class keepers since old heads like me remember Jorge Campos scoring goals as a goalie on bicycle kicks and crazy things like that. This keeper has rarely been tested. That's for good reason. Mexico played with its food in the first half against Honduras a little bit, came out, took care of business in the second half again. Should have been 2-0. Mexico is exceedingly good on set pieces. The U.S. looks like a cluster defending set pieces against lesser talent. The U.S. keeper Freeze is getting a lot of dap and credit for stopping penalties, and that's great. Through the run of play, he's lost. He doesn't know when to come off his line. He's very hesitant on a lot of set pieces and figuring out where to meet the ball, when to punch the ball, when to catch the ball. He's given up some soft rebounds. I don't trust that U.S. back line. Both wingbacks don't do it for me. Freeman, a lot's being asked of him. Arfson is terrible on the other side. Tim Ream at age 38, as many minutes as he's logged in this tournament, I think that's going to be a problem. Mexico will obviously be the most talented team that the U.S. Has faced through this draw. And you could say the same thing about Mexico. But I don't think Pochettino is changing his lineup. I think he needs to change his lineup. I think Aronson needs to be starting there. I think they need to play through Tyler Adams a little bit more and get back to a possession style soccer, but that's not going to happen. against this Mexican midfield anyway. And Mexico getting a goal out of Raul Jimenez is a big deal. He hadn't scored since the opening match of the tournament. They want him to be their leader up front. They want to be able to target him up front. And I think he's going to be a problem for a U.S. back line and keeper who are a little out of their depth. So I think it's a fairly comfortable win for Mexico. Wouldn't be shocked if they scored in each half. But give me that plus 160 on the money line. Third down, Ben.
Yeah, here we are going to go back to the WNBA, and I'm going to go with a Terp, Alyssa Thomas over her points and assists at plus 22.5 at minus 110. And usually when we do this, all the plays are one unit. That's what they're based off of. This will be my first 2-unit play. This is 2 units on this show. I'm very, very confident in this one. She had 10 assists just a few weeks ago when these teams matched up on 17 potential assists. And that was in 24 minutes as she was returning from the injury, right? It was a combined 21 points and assists, and that's returning from the injury. Only played 24 minutes, like I said. Dallas really struggled defensively. She's over this in 5 of 7 games since returning from injury. She can score. She dishes out tons of assists. 22.5 is too low of a number. Given this matchup, like I said, as bad as Dallas has been defensively, and now you're taking away Ogunbowale and Carrington's probably still out. I think Alyssa Thomas is going to eat tonight, and that's both scoring and assisting. So I like her over the 22.5 points and assists.
Nice. I love it. If you're new to the show, if we're going, this is Gigi, our Husky mix. I miss all my dogs. They're at home. They're not at the beach. We're not allowed to have dogs at this beach house. Shame on us. So he's going 2 units. That is Gigi, our Husky mix. Our medium dog, Meatball, is a 1-unit play. And Copper, our pug mix, our little guy. I miss all you guys. That's a sprinkle. I like it, Beltway Ben. Go big or go home. Third down for me, I'm going back to MLB. Not as much MLB inventory today. Yesterday, we had like ridiculous, like 20 games with all the doubleheaders. Give me the Los Gigantes de San Francisco on the first 5 money line. You can actually find this now at minus 120 if you look around. It's Robbie Ray against Brandon Pfaadt, and that's enough for me. Robbie Ray's got a 2.98 ERA on the road. The league's batting 187 against him on the road. He has not faced the Diamondbacks very often in his career, but I think he'll fare just fine against that lineup that's missing Corbin Carroll and has some others scuffling. Brandon Pfaadt's last 2 outings against the Giants, 6 2/3, 8 earned runs, 5 walks. He's been struggling lately. The Giants have been scuffling, no doubt about it, but they found a way to hold on last night. This is a picture they're familiar with, and I just really like what I've seen out of Robbie Ray. He's back to peak form, and I think he'll be a problem for the Diamondbacks today. Bullpens, hey, I'm taking them out of the equation. And I'm not sure the Giants hold on to win this game because they haven't been winning a lot of games lately. But give me Robbie Ray and give me that first 5. Okay, 4th and long. Again, we talk about long shot bets or long-term bets, and we've been breaking down the NFL by division gradually. And today we're going to look at the AFC West, where we know it's been Kansas City and everybody else for a long, long time, but that doesn't mean there aren't viable betting options for every team in this division. We've done our homework. We've done our research. But wait, Ben, what catches your eye in the AFC West?
Yeah, we'll start with the Raiders here. I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers over 1,000+ yards at plus 270, and this is the biggest odds that we have here for me. Most of the player props that I play are usually right around minus 110 for the futures, but here we can get 1,000+ at plus 270. And you look at what some of the wide receivers did in Seattle with Geno Smith. They didn't add him to sit on the ball, right? And I know Gianti's going to be used a ton, but this team will throw the football. With Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, and Aiden O'Connell, Myers had 1,027 yards last year, and he dealt with an injury. He missed 2 games. Bowers, I get it. This is an awesome tight end that's probably going to be the best in the NFL for years to come. But when you look at what Myers has did through his career, 729, 866, 804, 807, and then 1,000 last year. And he's done that with bad quarterback play. And really, like, this is the first year that he's going to play with a proven guy. And again, Geno Smith isn't the Mahomes or the Lamar or Burrow, but Geno Smith will throw the football a lot. And if Jacoby Myers is healthy at plus 270, it's too good for me to pass on. So I like him to get 1,000+ yards at plus 270. The next play is the Chargers. I'm going to go with Ladd McConkey over 1,025.5 receiving yards. Had 1,149 in year one. He also had 112 targets in year one. And I get it. Greg Roman offenses are never fun to take wide receivers in, but we did see what he could do last year, and we saw how much Justin Herbert liked throwing him the football. And then you look at what else they have at the wide receiver core. Quentin Johnston, like the first year was bad. Last year we saw him take some steps forward, but it's still not great. Mike Williams, how many games is he going to play when they bring him in? I just think Ladd McConkey is the top guy, and they're going to run the football a bunch, but when they do throw it, we know what Ladd McConkey can do after the catch, so I like that. Mahomes, 4,000-plus regular season passing yards, and this one was shocking to me because when you look at it, he went under last year, and I get it. Their passing offense wasn't great last year, but if you look at what he's done in his career, it's been regular that he clears this number, and again, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Before last season, 4,183. The year before that, 5,250, 4,839, 4,740, 4,031, 5,097. Like, he's gone over this in every year he started except for last season. And in those seasons, he's also been healthy, which is important with him, but he's been healthy most of his career. He's dealt with a few injuries here and there, but he's played 15 plus games in all but one season as the starting quarterback. This guy's going to throw the football, and he's also had to sit because they've had the 1 seed. I think the Chiefs regress a little bit. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs or anything like that, but if they do regress the way that I think they will, it's not going to be a season where in week 18 they can sit guys. I think they're going to have to play guys, and I think he's going to have to throw the football. But again, 4,000 passing yards at minus 110. Never thought we'd see that for Mahomes. This, and it's he's been in the NFL for years, but it's still pretty early in his career. So I like Mahomes to go for 4,000 plus passing yards. And then lastly, the Denver Broncos over 9.5 wins. And it took me a little bit of time to find a play here for the Broncos because I was looking and there weren't many props out, of course, because they don't have a ton of name guys, right? Courtland Sutton is the receiver. Bo Nix is the quarterback. Those are 2 props you can find. But outside of that, couldn't find any running back props because we know it'll be question mark with what they do. And Dobbins, of course, always dealing with injury when he's on the field is great. But behind him, they're going to use Estime. They're going to use McLaughlin again. But look at their schedule, right? Tennessee, Indianapolis, and then you look at division matchups. I usually give most teams in their division 3-3. I think they could possibly get swept by the Chiefs. They could possibly sweep the Raiders. And then, of course, the Chargers toss-up games. But they play the Giants. They play the Texans, who haven't been, what they were 2 years ago. They play the Commanders, who we've talked about on this show time and time again could regress. They play the Jaguars, who I'm not fully buying again. They play the Jets. This is a relatively easy schedule. They're right in the middle of the pack when you look at last season, but that's also because you have a Commanders team that people are expecting a lot out of. You have, a Colts team who we'll see how it goes, but I just don't see them losing many games this year. 9.5, it's a number they went over last year. You could play them to make the playoffs, and I saw that at minus 110, but 10 wins will get them in the playoffs, and you get plus 110 here. So I like the Broncos to go over their win total. That is my final play in the AFC West.
Like the way you think, Beltway, Ben, and I'll pick up right where you left off. So you like Denver to win at least 10 games, and I'm with you. And every coach in this division has a case to go to the Hall of Fame, and certainly Sean Payton will. So let's just pick up right there. Like Kansas City to win the division, Denver to finish second, plus 340. Sign me up. Could it be the Chargers who finish second? Maybe. Could it be the Raiders? I mean, I'm not going to say it's entirely impossible, but Denver has a playoff pedigree. Denver almost went to the playoffs. People forget what Russell Wilson and the remnants that Sean Payton inherited his first year there. He's got Bo Nix in a great place. That is a legitimate defense, and they're going to have to run the ball better than they did last year because it's impossible to run it worse. So, look, I think sometimes it is what it is. Kansas City to win the division minus 120. Like, I'm on it. I hate making future bets that don't pay plus money. But, like, if Mahomes gets hurt in the first half of the season, maybe they don't win the division. But I think they win the division. And Denver, for me, is the second best team in the division. I think they're the most balanced. And they obviously have a head coach who can battle with the likes of Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh. Let's talk about those Chargers. Beltway, Ben, Chargers schedule. Host the Chiefs at the Raiders, which I think will be a big deal. That's Harbaugh versus Carroll. That's a big rivalry. Then they get the Broncos. Then they're at the Giants, and then they host the upstart Commanders. I put a little sprinkle. I didn't go crazy. Little copper, aka chopper money, on the Chargers to only win 2 of their first 5 games at plus 245. Like, they got shot out of a cannon last year because of Harbaugh's first year and rah-rah and all that. But like that, the way that schedule sets up, some of those tough division games, I don't know. Like, I think every year people are a little too high on the Chargers than they should be. I could see a tough start here. I could see Denver and the Raiders getting them early. Chiefs week 1, good luck with that one. Andy Reid having all year to prepare for you. And that Giants front line might give them, that Giants defensive front might give them some issues up front, and that could end up being an ugly, low-scoring game. So that's where I am on them. The Raiders kind of interest me. Like, not a ton, but the Raiders over 7.5 wins in alt markets plus 135. Like, they haven't had a real coach in forever, right? They've been having guys like this run around and coach them. I like Antonio Pierce. I love covering Antonio Pierce as a linebacker back in my beat writer days. He's never going to be an NFL head coach again, and neither is Josh McDaniels. That's their last 2 head coaches. It's a major jump up. Like we saw the Chargers when they got an adult in the room last year, what it did for them as an organization. Like, I think the Raiders will be better defensively. It's Pete Carroll running the show now. And Geno Smith is going to give them better quarterback play than they've had in a long time. And he's already in lockstep with the head coach. And then finally, Bo Nix over 24.5 passing touchdowns. One of my favorite plays from about week 8 on last year was Bo Nix over 1.5 passing touchdowns. It was hitting all the time, and it was like nobody noticed or nobody cared, and the odds kept looking great every week, and I'd jump on it every Monday again, unless they were facing a truly elite defense. He's coached by Sean Payton. That offense is incredibly quarterback-friendly. And Ben touched on, there's still a lot of differences in the run game. Like, we're still not sure who's going to do it, how much by committee it's going to be. There's no stud back there. There's no absolute poacher. And Bo Nix himself, with that mobility and the ability to activate his legs and buy time to hit those 3 and 5 and 7-yard touchdown passes. Plus, they're going to chuck it downfield like they did last year. So I think he gets you 25 touchdowns or more through the air. And that he was on that pace second half of last year. All right, Beltway Ben, overtime. The AL East. How about them Yankees, huh? How about last night coming back from 8-0 down and then still losing 11-9 to the Blue Jays? How about basically Toronto, the Yankees, and the Rays having identical records more than halfway through the year? Look, the Red Sox, there's not much to talk about there. And the Orioles ain't going to be a factor in this division. But it's become a 3-team race. We've been looking at the futures markets this week, preparing for the show. Beltway Ben, the only play for me here is to take the Rays to win the division. Like, when you look at the Yankees minus 230 and the Rays plus 410, and the Yankees haven't been great with playing within the division, and all the pressures on the Yankees, and Aaron Boone, he might be the next manager fired in this division. I know that's not how Cashman wants to roll, but there's a lot of pressure on Boone now. Yankees, they lose one more starting pitcher. Forget about it. Stanton's been back for a while now. That hasn't been a big boost, and he's going to get hurt again. Judge is not going to hit 400 in the second half like he did in most of the first half. The bullpen is a little spotty, and Boone hasn't had a great feel for that. Devin Williams is still all over the place. We'll see what their closer's like when he comes back, but I'm not sure he's cut out for October or even September baseball. And people going to play the Rays in that rinky-dink single-A park with their seasons on the line in the pennant race, I think that's going to be a huge advantage for the Rays. There's no pressure on them. There's only 10,000 people at the games. Kevin Cash is a master tactician. They'll do 2 or 3 interesting things at the deadline, and they can score different ways. They have a multifaceted offense that, it's cooled off lately, but I buy it more than some of these other teams. The only play I can make in this division, Beltway Ben, is to take the Rays to win it. What about you?
I will say it's a slight play for me, right? I think when you look at the Yankees' issues, the bullpen, like having to chuck Mark Leiter Jr. out there every other day, it's not it. It just isn't. And of course, they want to add a third baseman because you want to move Jazz back to second if you can. And there's some options there, right? Nolan Arenado, Eugenio Suarez, Ryan McMahon from Colorado. Could they do that? Yes. But Tampa Bay is it's just a team that you don't want to run into. And you talked about their ballpark. Their schedule does get tough, right? They played a lot of games at home early in the season, and that does scare me a little bit, which is why I'm just putting a little bit of money on it, not overall playing anything. But between them and the Yankees just feel like that old team that has a lot of big name guys. The Paul Goldschmidt, he was hitting 360 at one point this year. Yeah, well, they've dropped him down to 6 in the lineup, and he's not doing much anymore. Jazz Chisholm's exciting. I am a fan of Chisholm, but he's fine. Cody Bellinger, how long till he's on the IL? Aaron Judge, in a little bit of a slump right now. He's starting to break out of it in Toronto, but I look at their lineup, and again, I'm not impressed. And I've already heard the Luis Gil being the deadline acquisition. We've heard him talk about it. That's what they're saying. And again, how long till he's hurt again, right? That is how I view them. I do think the Rays, quite honestly, have a better team. And you're going to get McClanahan back. You're going to get Kim back, who will play some infield for you and give you Walls being a defensive replacement later in the game. So I like that. I do think they're going to have to add some bullpen, because with Tampa, every single year we've talked about them turning the nobodies into reliable bullpen arms, and this year it's went away. Edwin Yusei to last year, incredible. But again, they weren't in a playoff push last year. All of a sudden this year they're competing, and he has just not been good. I think Fairbanks, he's a reliable closer, but they're going to have to get some setup guys to make me a little bit more comfortable with them. I talked about it before, McClanahan coming back. He is one of the top pitchers in baseball when healthy. That's a big win, because the Rays deal with a lot of starting pitching injuries, more than most that we see. But I do think McClanahan comes back before the end of August and gives them a little bit of a push. And again, I can't stress enough the Kim addition with getting Walls out of that lineup. So that's what I think about this division. I think it's between those two. I'm not buying the Toronto Blue Jays. They can sweep the Yankees. They can do whatever they want. With John Schneider as that manager, they are a wild card team at best, and I don't see much more than that.
Yeah. Shane Baz turning the corner, and the Rays farm system is loaded. So some of those kids will come up and give them a shot in the arm, and they can use some of them to get a stabilizing piece or two if need be. Boy, I kind of still wish they had Paredes and not Christopher Morel. Can't win them all, right? If they had Paredes still in this lineup, I might really like them. But yeah, I think the Rays are scrappy and they're hungry, and they can beat you with speed and small ball and hit the long ball. So interesting team. All right, that wraps up today's Wanna Bet. We will be doing some things on social through the weekend. We won't be back as a full show until Monday. We'll have Eric Casillas back with us. I'll be back in Baltimore in the home studio. But we will play some man versus machine on social media tomorrow. Ben and I, as always, are on the Pine Sports AI website. They have a tool there called Jackson, Jaxon. That's really helping us handicap better and smarter and more quickly, more efficiently. We've got a promo code, WB25. You can check out. They've got 3 tiers of access available to all their data. It is mind-blowing. And we will challenge Jackson to a duel. We'll see what he likes that we don't like for Friday. And we will be back with a full show again on Monday. And we hope everybody has a great 4th. And we thank you for tuning in to Wanna Bet.